Hello and welcome to this 80th episode of the REBT Advocates with Dr. Michael R. Adelstein of 3minutetherapy.com, a psychologist in the San Francisco Bay Area, and me, Tommy Bateman, LPC counselor in Richmond, Virginia area. You can find us, find Michael at 3minutetherapy.com, as I said, and you can email us both at rebtadvocates@gmail.com. Please send us your questions. We use them for episode fodder. Many of you already have, and we really, really appreciate it. So today, we wanted to address something that I don't think we've addressed enough. Why we do REBT to begin with. We've attacked other models. We've compared it. We've applied REBT to different situations and different problems, but we never said, hey, what we have said. Go back to episode 1 and hear Michael, the original REBT advocate, talk about why he does REBT, but I think it bears repeating. So Michael, let's get started. Why do you do REBT? Why not other ones?
Okay, well, we're talking about rational emotive behavior therapy, which was devised by the brilliant Albert Ellis many years ago in the 50s. And one of the reasons I love REBT, a very personal reason, is that it saved my life. I started seeing Albert Ellis in the early 60s when I was an emotional and behavioral basket case, and on my way to being homeless, and learning about REBT from him has dramatically improved my life. So that's my starting point for loving REBT.
All right, yeah. I never necessarily had any experiential things like that. So it saved your life, Michael. What else? Why else? I'm going to keep you going.
Okay, very good. And then I have more theoretical reasons, practical reasons from a therapist point of view. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love about REBT, which I think is different from most of the popular therapies, even CBT, is that REBT provides you with a philosophy of life, or at least it teaches you how to devise a philosophy of life. And at the same time, it gives you concrete tools to start implementing your road to a philosophy of life, a rational, scientific philosophy of life, immediately. So you start practicing immediately, changing your thinking, and at the end or along the way, the world, people, and yourself start to look very, very different than they used to. Much more, in my view, reality-oriented. I think it helps you get closer to reality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It always asks the question, where is the evidence for this thought? And that's what I love. You, as you said, you look at reality, or you look at the world differently, closer to reality. And how does it do that? Well, it asks us to challenge our belief structure, because it gives us a model that says, our activating event, what happens to us or what happens around us, leads to, it doesn't necessarily lead to the emotion. It flows through our thinking, or our belief, A, B, C. And so when we approach the world in that way, and our emotional life in that way, we start observing and really setting down and thinking about what is going on around us. We're not taking for granted that emotions just happen. It gives us a lot of control over our life. Whereas other models, they don't even give us that. They don't say, no, they say, all right, this emotion happens to you. When you're angry, hold some ice cubes, count to 10. I'm generalizing and kind of hitting a straw man with that one, but you get what I'm saying. They give you reactions to the emotion without teaching you how to not feel that unwanted emotion to begin with. And so you already see here that REBT attacks the actual problem we're trying to solve, whereas other therapies are kind of doing a back door, saying, all right, you already feel it, let's cut it off before it gets worse. Whereas REBT is saying we don't have to feel that to begin with if we don't want to. So Michael, keep going. I'm sorry.
Very good, very good. And another thing I love about REBT is the simplicity of the theory with profound ramifications. It starts with a very simple principle that our emotions don't come from events and situations, no matter how bad, no matter how obnoxious, but rather our emotions come from our thinking, our beliefs. And a derivative of that is that our emotional disturbance comes from demands, must, should, supposed tos, and you can apply that principle to most areas of your life where you find emotional disturbance.
Yeah, and I think this is where I've gotten pushback in the past, where people are like, "No, I've experienced this horrible event. I've experienced, no, that person wronged me, or you name it. Uh, I have an allergy to a drug, maybe alcohol. Maybe we already went over that. Anyway, a couple episodes back, we got some thumbs down for that one because people are attached to that model. But what I'm saying is, people like to blame their events or their circumstances, and they don't want to say that they actually have control over what's over their ending emotion, that they have the responsibility. But I know it sounds harsh when I say you have the responsibility for your own emotions, but guys, that's empowering. You're not a victim of your circumstances. That you can control, or at least practice new thinking to the point where you don't feel that negative and unnecessary emotion anymore. So that's a powerful thing that Michael mentioned there.
Right. And what you're saying, Tommy, is you can, because of that, you can be your own therapist. You don't
Hmm.
have to depend on a therapist for years and years and years whenever a problem comes up, but you can use the power you have over your emotions to identify disturbed emotions and to change them.
That's exactly, and you said it's a simple core philosophy that, as you think about it, you can build and build and build on as you go along. But you can keep it to the simple stuff, and you can do profound things with your life that way, being your own therapist. Whereas other therapies, I can name a few. Well, let's just go with Freud because we like to beat up on him. You can't Freudian yourself. You have to have a psychoanalyst to do that to you. Whereas REBT, once you learn the system and practice it enough, if you feel comfortable, go for it. You're empowered.
Well, another thing I love about REBT is an answer to an objection to it, in that you just use this unitary approach no matter what the problem. It's always the same thing. Uh, what are your musts? What are your shoulds? But REBT I see as eclectic because Albert Ellis built this on a variety of philosophies and approaches throughout history, on some of the things the Buddha said, Lao Tzu said, um, Horney, the Stoics, Shakespeare. Uh, so what he does is put it all into approach, but it has various roots. Also, it's not eclectic because we REBT therapists don't only do identifying demands and question your demands, but we also help people with practical problems, problem solving, those kinds of things. And there are a variety of ways to uproot your disturbed thinking, not only the cognitive exercise, but there are behavioral exercises, uh, blending behavior into your approach to work on problems, taking risks, risking failure, facing discomfort, are all very important aspects of getting over problems.
Mhm.
So it is a varied approach, and it comes from a variety of different philosophies and theories.
And just because it comes from a variety of theories doesn't mean it's not true. Now, I believe in objective truth. So, I mean, that's a philosophical approach I take. But why I love REBT, and this comes from what Michael said, Albert Ellis gathered the good, the beautiful, and the true from various sources. And what I love about REBT is it's internally valid. I can't break the argument. Where's it written? I always ask myself, where's it written in stone that I am objectively um, a, a, a mole below the goodness and greatness of Dr. Michael R. Adelstein? Where's the evidence? How do you rate a human being without being a god yourself? Um, you can't do it. I can't break the arguments of REBT. So if you can't break the arguments, you join the argument. It's makes sense,
Very
right?
good. Yes, good insight. Also, REBT offers clear, specific definitions of often misunderstood concepts, such as negative emotions. It tells you specifically what are negative emotions, the different kinds of negative emotions. Self-esteem defines self-esteem very clearly. Excuse me. And anger defines anger, panic attacks, addictions. And so it helps you understand exactly what's going on with your emotions and your behaviors with this clear taxonomy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you can get all those things worked on through A, B, and C? That seems just so simplistic and reductionistic, Michael.
Exactly, exactly. I think it'll take more work to persuade you.
Yeah.
Also, REBT, again, unique among the therapies that I'm familiar with, certainly the popular and traditional therapies, highlights the significant influence of genetics in emotional disturbance. That one of the reasons we all think irrationally at times is because our brains evolved and we were born and raised to think imperfectly, irrationally, because none of us have perfect brains. So genetics is a very important aspect to consider and a reason not to beat yourself if you have a stubborn depression or worry or those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. It acknowledges the imperfections, and of course, it asks the evidence. Where's it written in stone that I have to do better? Where's it written in stone that I have to be perfect? Well, in fact, we have evidence to the exact opposite. If you observe anybody's life, if you observe our genetics, if you observe our religions, all our religions pretty much say you're kind of imperfect. I say all. Maybe there's one out there that's saying you're great kid, but most of them say we're born imperfect. We are imperfect beings. So why should we expect otherwise out of ourselves?
Yes. I have a few more reasons why I love REBT, but we're pretty much out of time. Do you think it's worth going over, or shall we continue at a future episode? What's your thoughts?
Well, I want to go over why we love REBT some more, and I want to talk about some shade people throw at REBT, especially when it comes to research and data. Even though I think that's on our side too, so maybe we should save that to next episode.
Sounds good. Very good. Well, thanks, Tommy. Thanks for your great participation. And please comment if you enjoyed it. Give us a like, as Tommy mentioned earlier. Ask questions. Give us pushback so we'll have more things to discuss in the future. Support us on Patreon and subscribe to the REBT Advocates to stay on the rational side of life.